I think here's the thing, because the headline today on FoxNews.com was conservatives celebrating this victory, and I think this kind of speaks to the idea of, you know, yes, is there a decency, a level of decency to maintain? Absolutely, but also it is, for lack of a better word, and I apologize if it dovetails on what Guy Lambert's saying, a slippery slope. Because when you talk about this, you know, where does it end? And if you're talking like getting the government out of people's personal lives, yet the government's mandating what these private companies are telling you to do before you go.
These days.
There's a lot going on in that. So I think that you have to proceed with caution about that one.
Have you any idea how successful censorship is on TV? Don't know the answer? Successful, isn't it?
Well, this week we had a video where Hillary Clinton's calling for the abolishment of Section 230, which would mean the abolishment of the First Amendment. Because people say, well, they'll get rid of that law, but you don't want that to happen. If you want to make some changes that basically, or enforce it properly, that some of the social media platforms are not properly putting their videos up, you know, they're saying they're putting some censorship on it. I mean, perfect example is what happened with the New York Post and the Hunter Biden laptop. That should not have happened. Because if you don't agree with something, it doesn't mean that it needs to be censored. See, that's the problem. That's the difference. And it's not misinformation. If you believe that you don't agree with the subject matter or the opinion, it's not saying that's misinformation. It's saying that you don't agree with it. And you're allowed to debate it. And that's the other thing that was missing in the debates that we saw so far, is that they tried to censor what they were saying by clicking their mics off. You don't do that. You allow the discussion to happen. That's why we have to discuss. This is how we get through things. This is how we learn. We don't learn by just turning off the information. We don't learn by saying, this can't be said. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. That's all I got to say. You know, because people will throw out these pseudoscience things, that paperwork that just literally based on nothing. No actual information. They just wrote something up and said, hey, here. But it's not based on the actual science itself. And this is what's been happening from day in, day out when it comes to this. Now, we got an article out here, a statement actually, from the Free Speech Coalition, the FCS, where it's basically Alabama has right now an age verification law. But this wasn't voted by the people. This was voted in by the politicians themselves. They enacted a law that most Alabamians do not want, because it is censorship. It is taking your information, putting it in a database. Where does that database go? With all the hacking that's been going on around, you know, your Social Security, your medical files, you're going to add more to it, that, you know, that you're going to put more information on the internet just for someone to steal it? No, that is just plain out stupid. When it comes to age verification, it should be in the home. The parents should be able to choose if their child is old enough to see certain things or not. It's up to them. And it's up to them to put the safeguards in, not government intervention. So we're going to read from the statement. The introduction is Free Speech Coalition has issued a statement reporting an upsurge in Alabamians calling for a repeal of the state's controversial age verification law. This is probably people who don't know what a VPN is.
Also, kids, it's called a VPN. Just pretend like you're out in Canada.
Since the October 1st implementation of Alabama's new age verification mandate, thousands of Alabamians have reached out to Governor Kay Ivey and other legislators demanding they repeal the law. According to the data from the Free Speech Coalition Defend Online Privacy Portal, Alabamians have sent over 5,000 messages to their state officials since the law took effect. HB 164 mandates age verification for all visitors, the display of a pseudo-scientific public health warning, and a 10% tax on the gross revenue of any company that operates an adult website. There again, adult website. What do you consider an adult website? It's not only a pornography site. This also includes Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Tubi TV. Shall I go on? The New York Times, the Daily News, New York Post. Adult site they're talking about. An adult website. See, this is where, they're twist in words. This is why there are those out there, free speech advocates, who are telling you this is nothing but a censorship grab. Because that's what they're going to do. Reading on. Additionally, adult performers who appear in these commercially distributed content must have their model releases signed by a notary. Really? Are you going to tell Hollywood that they should do, because they do sex scenes? Are you going to have Hollywood actors and actresses do that? I don't think so. Alabamians are right to be outraged, says Alison Boden, executive director of the Free Speech Coalition. They, like all Americans, should be able to access the internet without sacrificing their privacy. We share their anger and hope that Alabama's elected officials will listen to their constituents and repeal HB 164. DefendOnlinePrivacy.com is the Free Speech Coalition's 50-state portal that connects voters affected by age verification laws with their legislators. Platforms that block a state in response to an age verification law can reroute their traffic to a portal to explain their decision and let those affected by these laws turn outrage into action. Yes, that's right. And the other thing is, remember, VPN. VPNs are still working. They haven't. I know there are places outside this country that are trying to shut down VPNs or block VPNs. But the thing about it is a VPN is going to work for you. And I know there are a lot of people that do it. But see, the thing about it is, before, and I'll tell you this, whether it's Rumble, whether it's YouTube, well, not Facebook or any of the others, but some sites allow you to watch their programming, whether it's porn, whether it's regular movie. Tubi TV does this. You don't have to sign up for it. You can watch anything on their site. Are you going to age verification on Tubi TV? Are you going to age verify on Pluto TV? Because they do the same thing too. Are you going to tell Paramount that they got to put age verification on their site? Because they have R-rated movies on there, and they have some movies that are a little bit sexy on there. Same thing on Tubi. Because they're not going to go at most streaming, because streaming you have to pay for it. But you got to remember, if kids have their own credit card or they know their parents' credit card number, they're going to sign up for it. And the same thing with the porn industry. People don't sign up really for the. I mean, there are some, very little. Not as big as you think it is. But there are people who just go to these websites and just watch the videos. They don't sign up for it. They don't want people to know who they are. They can sign up and they put a pseudo name on there and put it to a email site that just basically is meant for that. Yes, I do know some people that do that. Yes, that's right. There are people who create their own email so they can get adult-rated material, or if they happen to be, how do they say, cheating on their lover. That's why we had those situations with that other website that, people were cheating on each other. They created false website identities. Because they don't want people to know who they are. Would you want someone to know who you are? Do you want someone to know that that basically what you're watching, and I'm not only talking about pornography. I'm not only talking about pornography. I'm also talking about religious movies. Say you like watching Jesus of Nazareth, or any of the Christian movies on there. Would you want people to know that you're watching that? It's none of their business what you watch, what your religion is. That's why we have freedom of religion. We have freedom of speech in this country. But see, the thing about it is, you got these politicians out there that says, we have to save the children.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Who gave you that right? Who gave you that right to censor the internet because you thought that, children need to be saved? This government, and I'm not talking about this administration, this government, and we're talking, a lot of it came from the Democratic Party, but the Republicans are not angels either, for many decades now, have been attacking the entertainment industry. And you've seen some of the video footage. I've showed you some of the C-SPAN stuff. The congressional hearings on video game violence, on TV violence, on music. And when you hear them, a lot of the stuff they put out are lies. Remember I've said before, Dee Snider, Twisted Sister, the Gores thought that basically he had a t-shirt out with a woman tied up in a bondage discipline position. No, it doesn't exist. It never existed. Tipple Gore, she thought it was out, and she made a mistranslation of one of their songs. In other words, she thought it meant one thing and it meant something else, what the actual song was. Because she thought it was meant for women to be put down, to be beaten and all that. But it wasn't that at all. Video game violence, and they said, well, you have a gun. And kids shouldn't have guns. I grew up with guns. Do I own one right now? No. I played with it. They don't talk about Duck Hunt. They don't talk about any of the other games that were available with these targeting guns. They had no problem with that. If anything, some of these guns helped with eye coordination. Same thing with video games. Hand-to-eye coordination with video games. It had a purpose. If the parent wanted to buy Call of Duty or Mortal Kombat for their child, that's their decision to make. If they didn't want to buy it, same thing. Nobody was banning arcade games in the arcades themselves, because basically you'll be interfering with their business. A business that basically, a lot of them were driven by mom and pops. They didn't want to be held responsible for driving people out of business. But big corporations that video games like Sony and BioWare, Bethesda, and all the companies that were out back then, Atari, Magnavox, they were okay with that. They weren't okay with the game Night Trap, which was a horror game. Yeah, it was a horror game. They made it sound like it was basically, how am I going to put it, that basically it attacked women, that it was going after women. Yeah, girls were after it, but it was a horror film. Shall I go down the list of the films of the 1970s, 80s, and 90s that had a similar subject matter to what Night Trap was? Driller Killer, what is that? Sorority Massacre. You can go on and on. So many films that were made, but nobody brought that up. Nobody brought that up in the end. And it's the same thing with this. They say they want to stop adult websites. They want to put basically verification of who is visiting these websites. Do you put age verification on the library when you go to the library? when you enter, and I'm talking about entering the library, not checking out. I'm talking about you open the door and they say, well, how old are you? No, they don't. The only time they'll ask for some sort of identification if you're checking a book out. You can go in, sit, read, pick whatever book you want, and leave without anybody bothering you. You don't have to check the book out. See, that is the basis that, you have the internet. The internet is like a digital library. It is a place of information, entertainment, business. This is, what you have going on here is just to control the internet itself. They are afraid because now we're open to everyone around the world. Everyone around the world can check out what we're talking about. I mean, there are places like Russia, China, North Korea that don't have access to it because basically they've blocked it in their countries, which is wrong. And now they want to do the same thing here. They want to block the access to it. And they will always call pornography adult content. And I'll say it once and I'll keep saying it. The definition of adult content is anything from an entertainment point of view, entertainment media points that basically are meant for people over the age of 18. And that's whether newspapers, magazines, videos, broadcast television, internet access. That's what its true meaning. But that's what they slice into these laws. Because they'll say, oh yeah, we've blocked the internet. And down the line, they'll decide later on, it says, oh, we're going to block Elon Musk. We're going to block his X site. And we're going to block Rumble. Then they're going to take over and says, oh no, we don't like the stuff on Tubi TV. We're going to block that as well. That's how it starts. It always starts in one law. It just takes one way to do it. If you ever watch anything like a Law and Order, stuff like that, when they say that if this particular case could change the law, it could open up the floodgates to other things, that's what they mean. People criticize, they say, oh, they're getting Trump. Oh, finally they're getting on there. But they violated the law. And what happens afterwards? They can go after anyone they want with that same judgment. It's the same thing with Alex Jones. He never got his day in court. They found him guilty in absentia. And you say, well, I saw a court case. No. You saw the part of the judgment putting what his punishment should be. This judge skipped over everything and violated his constitutional rights. And on top of that, it violated one or two of the amendments where basically they charged him $1 billion. $1 billion? Never heard of that before. Ask Johnson & Johnson what they paid for the crimes that they did. Ask any other company for the punishments and stuff like that. And you say, well, Donald Trump. Yeah, see, there's a perfect example. They did it to Alex Jones, and now they come after Donald Trump and start to fine him excessively. I mean, eventually we're going to get, I don't know, by the time you get this video, it could have already been, the appeal is done, and they said, no, this shouldn't happen, or we'll be still waiting for that. But understand, we're getting close for that appeal on his judgment. Because if you look at that case, the judges were like, really? Could you cite a true case on there? And they could not properly. They throw all these cases where basically people were affected, but in his case, nobody was affected. Everybody made money. Nobody was complaining. It's our politicians. It's our people in the DA's office, our judges. They've all become very corrupt in some places. Not every one of them, but a good chunk of them. And our politicians are trying to decide that what we should watch and what we shouldn't be watching. So if you want more information about this, you can go to the freespeechcoalition.com. We'll leave it in the link below. Also, don't forget to comment. Let me know your thoughts about this. Don't forget to hit that like, share this video, and hopefully today's the day I earn your subscription. For all the thousands of videos that you could choose from, you chose this one, and we really do appreciate that. So until next time, thank you for tuning in, and so long.